I will call the meeting to order. You know, I will call the meeting to order again. First item on the agenda is minutes from our last meeting.
I have one thing. Hey, line 113.
Yep.
It says at the end, it says they will have a board meeting presentation. That's to their board, so can we just change it to they will present to their board in September? Because it sounds like it's a board presentation to us. Just if we could say they will present to their board in September. So there's some confusion.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No votes.
And I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes of April 7th as presented.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye. Thanks, Jane. You're welcome.
See what you're on about. The next on the agenda, tax collected report.
Hello. Hi, I'm Christine, I'm your tax collector.
And thank you for introducing me for people who might not know.
I gave Selectman Ham the folders. These are all of the properties in town that are up for deed this year.
Which one are you gonna start with?
They're in order on my sheet. So if you want to start with 26 Maple Street, owned by Gertrude and Beverly Chase, both of whom are deceased. So I've kind of gone through, there's a BHHS lien on the property. That paperwork is also in that folder. There is one person who has called and identified themselves as Beverly Lee. But she was not interested in going through probate. She did state that there were other heirs who are not interested in probate. They don't want to be responsible for the liens. So we're kind of
The amount of those links.
I've attempted to contact the HHS quite a few times with no luck. I know there's also a mortgage on the property that paperwork's filtered as well. At the time of her death, I think it was 17,000, but I haven't found a formal lien from that. Once I don't know that status.
And the mortgage company is not paying it off as the lien years come up.
No.
Typically they'll pay it off and just
Roll it into the mortgage, right?
So they've been notified. I was just similar to notices every year. They've been notified. I do get their return receipt back, so they are aware. But I have no contact.
and how much time in arrears is this?
They go to deed every 3 years, so these are for 2022.
Okay, you put your conversation with Denise.
Correct.
Summary in.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. Okay, and this gives them till May 8th to redeem this.
Correct. All mail sent to their address has been returned, obviously. Some of that is in there.
All right, so our decision then is to either, whatever, direct you to file a lien on the property.
Right. Essentially
The
taking
deed.
it by tax collector deed.
So in these packets, I'll just say there's a deed waiver. If you do not want me to take it by deed on the 8th, then that needs to be signed and returned, and then I'll notarize it. If you would like it to be taken, it will be taken on the 8th. If they have, correct.
if they haven't paid. If we take it. I assume we won't get. Clear title to it until we pay, or we
We
have,
won't ever get clear title. to it. So essentially, we will take it, we have to hold on to it for 3 years before we have the opportunity to sell it. The property owner has the right anytime in that 3-year period of time to come in and request a repurchase of the property. After that 3-year period of time, that is when we can sell the property off. But in my experience in other communities, we would sell it as is with no guarantees. So we would get a quick claim, we'd take it by tax collector's deed, and then we'd sell it by quick claim deed, and we'd make no assurances on it. So, but again, we would have to hold it for 3 years before we could even do that. They could come forward and go through probate at any time in that 3-year period and repurchase it from us for all the back taxes and legal fees and, all that good stuff. The statute outlines what we can collect it for. Anything we sell it for above and beyond what's owed in taxes has to go back to the property owners on record. Because they're both deceased, we'll have to put the notice in the newspaper and, go through the motions of unclaimed kind of money. I think you've probably seen
Sure,
it on the
yeah.
newspaper. And go through that legal process. So there will be some legal fees attached to whatever you decide.
by taking it by deed. We will get quick claim deed for it, even without the attachments of the,
We'll take it by tax collector's deed, and then when we sell it, we sell it.
Right.
Yeah.
but the existing liens on it.
Stay,
Are these recorded liens?
yes,
Where are they recorded?
they're recorded.
We can't get a copy of it?
Oh, we sure we can find it. We'll do a title search. We could potentially do a title search at that time and find out all.
At that time, yeah.
Is the property being lived in at the present time?
No, but it hasn't been, I don't even know if it is currently habitable. It's been empty
No big
for at
question.
least 3 years.
For how long do you think roughly has it been?
She passed away in 2022, so it's been empty since then.
Sean, have you got any complaints as code as far as, rodents or infestations or anything that's impacting the neighborhood?
Neighbors have been mowing.
So the deeds, I mean, the liens,
Stay,
the ones that aren't ours stay on.
correct.
By taking it, we don't become responsible for it, but they stay there. So when we sell it,
They're gonna be on there and the new owner will be responsible.
Does the over and above go towards those liens? If, and for round numbers, say that we sell it, she owes us $10, we sell it for 20, do we have to give that other $10 to whoever the lien on the property?
That I don't believe so. So in a previous community, we took a home that had an IRS lien on it.
Right.
The person who bought that home was responsible for that IRS
So that's,
to get their title. It's their responsibility when you sell it by public auction, like we would do, what we're required to do. You say in the notice that, it's encouraged that you do a title search on the property it's being sold as is with no assurances that the whole, that
Right,
legal
right, right.
language will have drafted up. So essentially, it would be the responsibility of the buyer to ensure that they do their due diligence to get to know what they're getting themselves into.
So 2 questions or 2 things. One, I would like to know, if we see if we can find out how much that DHHS lien is, and if there are any other recorded liens. Because if it's $5 million, then it doesn't make any sense for us to do it. If it's for $10, then obviously let's get this ball rolling and turn that over and do this.
That would require us to do a title search.
Well, also, I will state, Beverly did come to the town for welfare assistance before she passed. So I had some of those records and I went through it, and the type of DHS lien or that she got, from my understanding, it's a short-term loan between when you become disabled and when you start receiving disability, which is to be paid back once you receive disability. So I'm not sure if that lien was redeemed and just never sent to the second registry.
What does it cost in title search? Minimum?
I mean, it depends on how much time it takes them, I guess, to do the work. I think we pay a blanket kind of. I don't know, how much do we pay when we do the mortgagee search?
So the mortgagee searches, she has like a flat couple $100 to do them, and then it's per parcel. So usually to do all of ours,
And this would just be more. I would recommend doing the title search, but I'm getting into or not getting into first.
We do have another meeting before the D date, right, we have one more meeting, so dependent upon the search company's time schedule, if she could get that done, there's a possibility that we could have that answer for you by the next meeting, but we might not. So if you wanted to just hold off on this one for this meeting to see if we could get the title search in the works and to see how much that would be, then we could,
Because the alternate is do what, just let
Do
it
nothing.
sit and keep it forever and ever and ever, and there's no one stepping, it's been 3 years and no one's come forward. I don't see this as automatically, miraculously fixing itself, we're gonna have to step in somewhere and do something.
well, you could potentially deed at any time. I mean, just because we're deeding now,
Right.
doesn't mean in 6 months from now, when we do get the title search and we do find out more about the property, we could go through this process all over again. It just wouldn't be on the same schedule as the others, so we would have to pay attention to that, but possibly, it could be done.
Let's get a title search done, see what we can find out before the next meeting, and then readdress it.
I would also suggest a phone call to, you say HHS?
I've called them
multiple
multiple
times.
times. I've called the Littleton office, I'm directed to call Concord, and then I've called Concord almost daily for a couple. Usually they'll send me to a voicemail that will ring a few times and then hang up. Really,
I had that.
Yeah, it's really-
experience with them.
Yeah.
Before, yes.
But I think it'd be good, to know before you make a decision.
I think so, because
We don't wanna take on that.
if it's likely not $1 million debt, but I mean, if it's
Right.
more than what the property's worth. Because if we don't do anything, they're still not gonna pay taxes.
Right.
It'll still be on hold, it's just that we won't be holding the responsibility.
Right.
Okay. So the next one on there is 21 Potash Road 4 and 5. This one almost goes to deed every single year, and one of his creditors usually pays. In the mortgagee search, it shows that he has quite a few lawsuits against him and lien holders. They usually pay in the interest of keeping the property.
Where's Potash?
The village, yeah.
The likelihood, but no matter what decision we make today, the likelihood of them paying prior to the.
It's pretty high, yeah, I looked back and I think he's almost gone to deed for the past 6 or 7 years.
I would recommend that if it's not, paid before the 8th, that we go to deed.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I'm good with Jack.
I'm good with that.
All right, 1 second now. Who's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, so 37 East Branch Road, same thing, this person, I think, again, for the past 6, 7, 8 years has almost gone to deed, and then he will usually come in personally. And pay with cash a couple days.
So.
Yeah.
I would make the same motion that, if this is not paid before the 8th, we go to deed.
That's the property value. But that's the tax bill, sorry, that's the property value. Second that,
Second,
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, the remaining 4 are all quarter share units at the mountain. One of which is the same person who almost went to deed last year, you gave him a 90-day extension and he did pay, but that bill last year was $67 and this year it's 300 something, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what, but, yeah, they're all quarter shares. I have attempted the email, I've Googled and tried to find emails for some of them with no response. All of the certifieds come back to me signed for, which is no answer.
And are these all, again, 2022?
Yes, correct, these are all 22.
Do we know if any of them are being rented out at the present time?
I don't have access to that information.
Wonder if we contact Mr. MacGyver or somebody up there, we can find those out, whether there's activity going on in them.
Yeah.
And obviously, if so, the owners are getting, cash coming in, so there's no reason they couldn't be back.
I do know that, one of them, unit 1222B, has a $3,412 lien on it from the Mountain Club for unpaid dues. That's the only one that I found that has a lien or any mortgage.
How sellable are quarter shares?
Not very,
Not very.
from what I understand.
And we will be responsible for the HOA.
The
Right.
HOA fees there are quarterly like $3,000.
They're significant.
I would recommend not taking these, because I feel like the liability outweighs our,
Yeah.
any benefit we get from taking them.
I don't wanna just not take them and say, oh, no, but just nobody out there has to ever pay the taxes because we're not gonna take them, because that's not true. What I would like to know is, could you find out what the quarterly HOA's fees are? What the total quarterly taxes are?
Well, your tax information is in there.
Yeah. Well, just more information.
Sure.
I don't know, you've reached out to everybody. Do we try to reach out one more time with this is the only shot you get. We'll give you a 90-day extension, and if they're not paid, we will go to deed. Because we can't not do it. We can't just say, oh, I don't do that. We have to do something. But I would like more information, like what are the quarterly fees and HOAs and, are there any other dues? Is there any insurance? What is the?
Yeah, my concern was that our cost on our end to do the HOA fees, the mortgage charge. It's gonna be more than what we could sell it for in the end, so we would just be in the red.
That is a concern, and that's why I'd like to know that information. Okay. But what are they selling for? Maybe you could find that out. And just Malcolm may have that information. And if you, yeah,
They do.
what are they selling for? Is there a demand? Is there a line out the door looking for quarter shares? I hope
You
they
can
have
put them all
that.
together and have one full check.
The annual tax on this unit, and I know there's multiple ones, but the one in my hand, it's $222.
Yeah, I think the biggest tax bill in here was like $334
Yeah,
annually.
so, I mean, you're gonna spend that
Right,
in hassle to.
but I don't wanna put out there that nobody at the Mountain Club ever has to pay their taxes again, because we're not taking it anyway. That's not okay. We will do something. We will take it. We will figure it out.
Well, our tax lien remains on
Forever.
as a lien,
Forever.
so they can never sell this. And the Mountain Club can't even take it without paying us. So we will always be in the same line, whether we hold ownership or not.
Right, our liens supersede all of it.
So, I would say no on all of these.
Really great.
Alright, so we have to sign all those waivers then.
Correct, yes, anything you do not want, any
Right.
waivers.
And is that it?
That's it, yep.
Okay, so the first one we're not making a decision on yet.
You need more information.
There's two that we're filing, and that pile we're gonna waive.
Perfect.
All right,
Thank you.
we will. Stuff in here, we'll get to these at the end of the meeting.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Leave them on your desk.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. All right, next on the agenda, the Lost River Draft Environmental Assessment. Welcome to our meeting.
Thank you for having us. That's exciting.
It was, I learned a lot.
If you can turn on your microphone.
It's great seeing you.
It should be different.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Freedom. People have anything?
Okay, well,
Good evening, afternoon, whatever you might think of at 5:48. My name is Brooke Brown and I'm the district ranger on the Cummins Wasser Ranger District. And Teresa.
I'm Teresa Corliss and I'm the forest planner.
And so Teresa has passed out some information on the Lost River project. We were here back in May of 2023 as part of our pre-scoping. I was on a temporary assignment, so I wasn't here. Roger Boyer was here in my stead acting. Teresa was here as well. And we have now gone out with the draft EA after soliciting input from the public on designing the project and doing our review, our analysis for NEPA, and have a proposal in the draft EA. And wanted to run that over with you guys. So the public comment period opened April 14th, so last Monday. So the public has 30 days to comment. Which will close on May 14th. And so in the town of Lincoln, 5% of the project is actually within the town boundary. So it kind of equates to, you can see on the back, there's 2 units that are kind of partially, for forestry units that are partially within the town. And those are units 67 and 69, maybe 68. But overall, the project largely is out towards Elbow Pond and Woodstock. So the project total, we're looking at just over 1,000 acres for forestry activities. There's a lot of dispersed camping that goes on out there, so we're looking to redesign that. There's some campsites that are of some concern for resources like hydrology, soils, and some wildlife habitat. So we're looking to eliminate some of those and increase the camping out there on some areas. Gordon Pond hiking trail that's right off that state highway is problematic with cars parking on the highway and trespassing on private land trying to get up there. There's another access to Gordon Pond, so we're looking to eliminate that due to safety concerns and have folks use the main access point for Gordon Pond. And then we're looking to do some various transportation activities out there of reconstructing some existing roads for forestry activities, classifying some roads that are out there and just bringing them into our road system, and then decommissioning 9.7 miles of roads that are unauthorized out there. 9.2 miles are unauthorized. And then the remaining balance of those is part of, if you're familiar with Elbow Pond, towards the boat launch area, it goes into a wetland and we usually have some beaver issues. We've got 2 proposals there where we might reroute the road around that. So that's where we would have decommissioning of that remaining half mile, or build the road up and increase the drainage out there so there's good connectivity for hydrology and whatnot out there. And then installing a couple gates out there, one to control access into the gravel pit that's off of the main Elbow Pond, where Woodstock Police Department does some training out there right now. And we would be developing some campsites along there, so that gate would be to keep from people going out there and camping. And then also another one is for wildlife opening, to keep vehicles from going to the wildlife opening. And that's really kind of the in a nutshell. Our forest website, if you're not familiar with it, we do have a project website page where you can go to all the various projects, and Lost River has one on there. The draft EA is on there, specialist reports of analysis are on there for the public to review. We have copies of the draft EA. If anybody would like a copy, we can share that or leave one copy behind.
Yeah, I have 3 of each one in a row.
Yeah, we'll take it, we'll leave one out front too.
Okay, wonderful, that would be great, thank you. And so what we ask of the public, just in case you're also interested in commenting, is the substantial comments. So what is helpful for us is not the I like the project or I don't like the project. It's telling us why you like the project, why you don't like the project, and giving us those examples of something that we can consider, or if we haven't considered it, make sure that we're considering all the options that are out there that fit our purpose and needs of the project. So folks can either mail in a comment, just needs to be postmarked by May 14th. They can come by our office in Hampton and leave a handwritten comment, or online, when you go to our project website, there's a link there to go and submit comments online as well.
Have you received any comments to date?
We received one that I'm aware of. I was out of the office last week. I don't know if we received any electronic.
Share today, but there might have been one.
We usually get some, well, and I should mention too, we have an open house on Thursday evening in Hampton.
No,
It's actually in Hampton due to a scheduling conflict,
budget committee also.
Also.
but usually we'll get comments after that. People will come with questions looking for clarifications. And then we have some people that wait right until the end that submit, but I am aware of one comment that we received that is someone that generally comments on all of our projects.
Brooke, you mentioned the gravel pit out there. I know that's used for a lot of times, target practice, practice shooting by police, law enforcement, and 12 others. Is that going to be a legal, activity that can be, continued there or no?
Are you talking about the one right when you turn off that's right there?
Yes.
We're not gonna do anything with that. We were talking to Woodstock Police Department and they actually, had said that they don't mind it there, that it's, they have it as part of their patrol route and they like that it's easy for them to get to and see what's going on. And people are used to seeing them come in, so we don't plan on doing anything with that. The gravel pit I'm referring to is just beyond that. There's a road that takes off to the right. And the gravel pit back there is the one that we would be installing a gate to keep people out of, other than law enforcement when they need to go out and do some practicing.
Thank you.
The 9.2 miles of unauthorized road you're gonna decommission, is that road that's like vehicle accessible now, or?
It's not actively accessible. It was at one point where users were just out there driving around and we've seen it.
Okay,
They could be some old roads, but generally they're just roads that have kind of been created through the public's use out there and they're not part of our road system. So that's why we say we're decommissioning them, is we do something to make sure that they just kind of grow and not look so inviting for the public to be where they shouldn't be.
okay, are any of them trails, like used or usable trails, for either hiking or mountain biking?
I'm not aware of them. We've got the designated trails out there that people are using. We've got some of those cuff trails to the lake and things like that, but those aren't included in this area.
Okay.
Anything that I'm overlooking?
I don't think so. Appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Oh, yeah, is there anyone in public who wanted to ask any questions? Okay, then.
Or one public.
We have one online,
Oh, okay.
and then we have residents of Lincoln. I mean, back, you are, but he's not.
Important.
What?
Belong. So, anyway, thank you for presenting this to us. Thank you for the help on the other, project that we're working on together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking to get that buttoned up hopefully soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are we.
Yes.
The National Forest Service is the largest landowner in the state of New Hampshire, 800,000 acres, is it?
Around that, yeah. Just a little bit over 800,000. Well, that includes Maine.
You know that.
Yeah.
And that includes some of the land that goes into Maine as well.
Lowest taxpayer. Well, you don't go there.
That's why we do forestry activity, so that money comes back to town.
That's absolutely true, and
Great.
a water tank would be helpful.
I hear you loud and clear.
Thank you, Brad.
All right, thank you.
you.
If there's anything comes
Thank
up,
you.
and then happy to hold me. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in.
All right, want to do the, I'm gonna do the.
Okay, so, I believe some of you were CC'd on a request that we received from Riverwalk. We received a request from Dennis Ducharme to participate in a discussion with his engineers regarding their letter of map revisions, their application to FEMA. The new flood maps that were put into effect last February in 2024, now indicate that 100 feet of the corner of Riverwalk, the east wing, is in flood zone AE, causing the Riverwalk Homeowners Association to purchase nearly $50 million of flood insurance. So Dennis and his engineers have talked through some potential, options for them to get them out of that flood zone, whether it be, an application to FEMA for a letter of map revision, obviously accompanied with his engineers, maps and drawings and statistics. The other option for them would be to build up that section of the earth
With the
on
berm.
that section, with the berm, exactly, to get them outside of that flood zone. So I told Dennis that we would be willing to participate in a discussion, obviously, and that I believe, his engineers are coordinating a meeting, and I'll let you know when they put some potential dates out.
Sounds good.
Maggie Goodlander's, community project funding applications, letters of support, so we were notified, early last week that, as part of our application to, the CPF funding, that we were being asked to submit at least five letters of support for our application for the Campers World project. So I just wanted to say a big thank you, because it was a very quick turnaround, and Loon Mountain, Riverwalk, Ahead, Indian Head Resort, White Mountain Attractions, Whale's Tail / Alpine Adventures, and the Mountain Club all did a quick turnaround and sent us a letter of support on behalf. So I just wanted to give them a big thank you, because it was 4 days and, I thought we got 7, and that was more than we needed.
That's
So,
great.
Great, excellent.
big thank you. Lead and copper inventory project. So we got some really good news last week in regards to that project. Yes, so in cleaning and reorganizing the highway garage, Nate found some old photo albums, and within those photo albums were pictures of when all the curb stops were put in, pretty much all up and down Main Street and all the back village homes. So Nate thinks that with this information, he's reached out to Sam, and that he's thinking that we can maybe cut our unknowns almost in half with that information.
What
So
was it, 1,200?
we had about 1,500, I think, 12 to 1,500, I can't remember the exact number, unknowns, and Nate thinks we can eliminate that by nearly half, if not more. So that was great news. Sam and Nate are going to sit down in the next couple of weeks and kind of inventory where all those, I guess they're old Polaroids that were dated, and the location and the date, and so they will be able to take those and plug them into our inventory. I think there's 8 photo albums of old Polaroids of when the first.
Wow.
I know,
When was that?
You know what, yeah,
I don't know the year.
I'm just trying to go.
It was Bill Willie, I know it's Bill Willie. It was Bill Willie.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fairly recent.
But yes.
Polaroids.
Yeah, old Polaroid, but they got a time and date stamp, they got a location stamp, and Sam said that will satisfy the requirements of the inventory.
Yeah,
So we're gonna get that list updated relatively soon. And also in talking with DES and getting a potential grant application put together for the DES funding for this. They informed Sam, that they are offering a second round of the, lead and copper, funding. And we are now eligible for an additional $60,000 to, help in our inventory activities. We received one, recently, or we received one last year for the 50,000. So that would bring our total grant for the inventory project up to 110 from DES. So they're gonna update our grant paperwork, and we should see something forthcoming. We will have a whole public hearing for it.
The inventory. At the last town meeting, we voted on doing,
The 800,000,
right,
correct.
of which 71%, it was an odd number, but 70-something percent
It was a loan forgiveness.
was
right.
loan forgiveness.
They have told us that they are updating. We don't know what that's gonna look like this year, so we. Well, obviously, before we accept any funding or go down the route of taking out debt, they haven't announced what that percentage is going to be yet this year.
Oh, so that 71 wasn't
It's not guaranteed,
guaranteed,
no.
okay.
So we are still waiting, but I think we should still accept the 60,000.
Oh, yeah.
And continue on the, the route of the planning for our inventory before we move forward, but we don't know, they haven't listed the specifics that they're going to outline for this year's funding.
Okay, so this 60,000, is this for actual digging of test pits? That other program is gonna pay for?
The specifics of it say to service line inventory activities, so I think it could be used, we used it to have the intern come in here last summer. And she went through all our work, and then they created inventory, you have it in a certain format for DES to submit it to them. So the first $50,000 was used for those activities. Now that we have this $50,000, I believe it can be used for actually going out and doing the potholing or whatever they call it, so.
Great.
State of New Hampshire bridge payments. So in going through stuff last week with our auditors, we have funds from 2022 and 2023 that were one-time bridge payments from the state. These are non-lapsing funds, and together they total $155,000 and change. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention so it stays on our radar for potential uses in the future, because it's kind of just.
Is it restricted? What could be used for?
It has to be used for a municipal bridge.
What do we have for a maintenance plan on the Little Mountain Bridge?
I don't know the specifics of that.
We should find out. It's been,
Owns that bridge.
We do.
We
are building Blue Mountain Bridge.
Yeah, not the
South-
full-
not the- not-
we own that.
I'm trying to think what other, we have one bridge up on Hanson Farm Road. That we own,
Georgiana Falls. Yeah.
Georgiana Falls Road, check.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any other bridges that you.
I know, that's why I think that's why I kind of fell off the radar, you know?
When we go into the whole thing with the Blue Mountain Bridge, there was the bridges and the dams were clumped together. Can we use that?
No, it's bridge, it has to be bridge only, municipally owned bridges, yeah.
Okay,
So, but I just wanted to bring it up so we don't
We
forget.
should find out what there needs to be or should be, or is there a maintenance
maintenance
plan
plan.
on that bridge?
on both of those bridges.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know anything wrong with the one up on Georgiana
Yeah.
Falls Road, but we still own it, so if something happens and needs a sudden repair, that's on us.
yeah, I think those are the only two. I mean, we should probably find out if there are any others. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
No, and I did bring it up to Nate too, so he was, just so it's on his radar,
Okay.
so it doesn't, fall into the ether of funds that we never use, other people,
Right.
I'd rather not pay for it out of CIP or,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
So,
So what if, that portion of paving, when the roads are repaved?
I think, as long as I think if it was paving the bridge itself,
Right, that
that would
portion,
probably
yeah.
qualify, yeah,
Yeah.
if we measured it out and.
Keep that in mind,
have that in
future
mind.
paving. Great, thank you.
No worries. Fastest growing housing markets in the state. So Sean, a couple weeks ago, found an article on MSN.com that named Lincoln the 14th fastest growing housing market in the state. Over the past decade, the article states that Lincoln's home values have increased by 141%, with the average home price in 2016 being just over 200,000, and today's value being at 484 or 485 plus 485. And I gave you the chart that accompanied the article, and if anyone wants the link, just let me know and I'll forward it to you so you can see the other communities still. Sure. But I just thought it was kind of an interesting tidbit of information, and figured I would share. Thank you, Sean, for finding that article.
Yeah, thank you.
We think.
We think, right?
Yeah.
Not next year, will we?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Linwood ambulance agreement, Jason has reviewed the Linwood ambulance agreement and made some very minor changes. Some of them were just kind of grammatical or kind of semantics. Yeah. So I have sent that to, the Linwood Ambulance Service. I signed on our side of things after they gave me authority to do so last week. I haven't received it back from Linwood Ambulance, but we plan to issue our first payment to them this week. I'll definitely hold on to the check until we get that signed contract, because I know that was part of the town meeting vote. But I wanted to get it in the April payroll run, and next week it won't be in the April. So, I mean, not payroll, AP run.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Just a heads up on that. Yep. We have also discussed the water and sewer regulations, the update to that. We have our scheduled public hearing for our next meeting on May 5th. So just a quick update on that. I do have a couple of things that aren't on my list that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. So dispatch is going to move over. We're going to do our final switch tomorrow. There will be a brief period of time when our non-emergency line isn't working. The 911 system will continue to stay active, but there will be a brief time where the non-emergency, the lines are not working. So, Lincoln PD put out on their Facebook, I believe it's on the website, that it should only be 30 minutes if everything goes as planned, but I just wanted to make people aware that 911 will continue to work. It's just the non-emergency lines. So if you need, assistance, call 911 and they'll direct you to the appropriate person.
I saw, bumped into, Deputy, Lieutenant Leo, McKinnon today, and he was interested, they're gonna add a couple of firefighters on duty tomorrow.
We are,
just in case.
just in case, yeah, the fire department's gonna have a couple guys on, just in case anything were to happen, or there were an issue, so, we got kind of all men, all men and women on deck. So, but it's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went downstairs today to kind of do a walkthrough of stuff that could potentially stay and stuff that needs to go in the dumpster, and, it's surreal kind of having it be, I wouldn't say empty, because it's, it's still full of stuff, but it's definitely becoming more and more of a reality.
That's awesome. I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
To finally get over there, yeah.
You get a new site.
Not a new site. And then the only other thing is that I'm just on vacation next week, so I just want to pick up.
Me too.
Again, sign off. There's a couple of us on vacation, but I have to wait.
So anybody that has kids.
Anybody that has, well, I think OJ's on vacation too, right?
Great.
Eventually.
So just a heads up. Yeah, so, and that's, all I have for the public settings.
Awesome. One question I was just thinking of when Brooke was here. We got an update on the South Peak tank with them. And we talked about it at our meeting, but I didn't know, did you share that information with Mark? Is he aware of where we stand with that? If not, we should just update him of where.
I believe I did, I don't know if I shared it with Mark, I believe I shared it with Scott,
Oh, okay, all right,
yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Who's probably more in
Yeah.
charge of that
Um,
particular
project.
project.
yes, I believe I shared it with
So long
Scott.
as they know, I mean, just want to keep them in the loop.
Yes, but
Okay, that was my only question. Did you have anyone?
No, sir.
The other thing I had is Jack and I, Chris O'Day was still out of town.
Oh, yes.
Presented the lovely great experience with the buses came. And it was one for Karen, which she.
Great job.
Yeah, it was fantastic. She
Down
loved it.
at Encore, and there had to be, what, 60 something people?
I did all it. Yep. Well, that's the right. Nope.
That's it. So you
I'll
want
do
it?
that. Thank you. Oh, and we have a wonderful. Thank you for honoring their mother. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, it was wonderful. There was quite a few.
Their office or?
Yeah. That's- Normally, I mean, in the past, we've gone to. Person's home. Then it was just family, so it was a big gathering.
Yeah.
With family, friends, and, yeah, it was nice.
All right, I got a couple of things here that we need to go through. Two of them have to do with, transfer from the trustee of trust funds. One is just a correction. Money that was, expenses that were attributed to the sewer system rehabilitation capital reserve should have been to the water system rehabilitation capital reserve. So we're just, if it's $9,000. Being deducted from the sewer rehabilitation and added to the water. Correct. To correct that, so,
Make one quick.
okay, sure, normally don't do motions for these,
All
but
right.
yeah, but I think
just, there, we just need to sign those, all right, and then the rest of them is all quarterly, standard quarterly transfers, oh. I signed on the date. The date is the 21. All right, there's that one. And then the second thing we have is the scope of services from engagement letter from John Fouquet, for the annual audit. If
And,
we,
and the audit went really well, based on that.
if we pay them more, will they do my part?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But, I got a really great report from the auditors. They were here 3.5 days, I would say.
Okay.
But they, no, they were here 4 days, now that I'm thinking about it, they didn't come on Friday, but. I got a really great report from Jen Dorr, who is our main representative and, Bachelor Bouquet, and she said that everything looked really great. And I just want to give kudos to Becky because she, it has a heavy lift when it comes to our financial statements. We have a very complicated with all the funds and grants, the stuff, the revolving funds, the grants that we received. She has a heavy lift, and Jen said everything was well organized, well put together, and it really made their job much easier. So just a kudos to Becky for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know she has a lot of, how many like escrow accounts? I don't need a number, but it's more than a lot.
We have a lot of funds, and like I said, the grant funding that we receive and the tracking that she does and the spreadsheets that she creates. She's really on top of her game with that, so. Just out of here.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I told her to take it. She hasn't took me up on that yet.
Just a day.
If you wanted to look at that. And then we have two legal things to look at in non-public. Was that, yeah, I'll open up now for public participation. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, a couple of things. I have had some discussions with Heather Hennigan from the New Hampshire DES, and she informed me that the POR systems are not required to submit a service line inventory to New Hampshire DES in 2025. She said they will be doing it within the next 2 to 3 years. But I know we had talked about this before, and I know you weren't sure, you were sure you weren't sure, but in talking with her, that doesn't need to be done.
Thank you.
Just so you know, well, I had to check it out because of the landing, so I figured I'd let you know.
Go
on. Your water regulations that you were talking about, I had sent an email to Karina about, if you look at the water regulations, it talks about the code enforcement officer doing a inventory after projects are done to make sure that they're in compliance. And while Karina adequately stated that, probably most of the things that are put in today should be water saving devices, there's no really way of telling whether they're installing those or not unless an inventory is done. And I don't know how the town wants to approach that, but I know you probably should maybe address that when you're talking about your water regulations, so you have an idea. Not everybody's honest, so I mean, 5-gallon flush toilets are a lot easier to install than low flush because they don't plug as often, and sinks and fixtures and stuff like that. I know you were talking about water regulation, so I figured I'd bring that up. The Campers World, I also sent an email to Karina about that. I mean, I still am a little, I guess, taken back. I know you headed on the right direction, and I support what you're doing. But when I look at the actual vote that was taken, OJ, after the town meeting, I mean, there was, I would have 91 people that voted on Article 2 or whatever it was. And then there were only 48 votes at the end of the night. So, I mean, it was like a 47%. Why, Tammy? there's only a 47% reduction. I know I'm boring you, but there's only a 47% reduction in people that were there to vote. And I think the fact that the town's proceeding on a mission with just a little over 50% of the people there, I mean, it seems to me to be not appropriate as a taxpayer. I mean, I just think that you should have you should have some sort of a public input session, because what if the people in the town don't want to pursue this TIF district or going out for it? Or, I mean, if everybody wants to, that's fine, but I guess when I look at town meeting, I didn't see that as a way that should have gone forward, and I like your comments on it.
Okay, anything else?
Do you have any comments?
Paul, I responded to that last meeting, and I have no additional or different comments to make now.
I guess that's it.
All right, any other?
Actually, there's one other thing. The town hall, Karina, have you obtained any estimates or done any work related to the police department and how that might be, the cost of it and how it's going to be used after the PD gets out?
Nope, I'm waiting till the PD is totally out before we get down there and try to reval. Like I said, I went down today and it's, usually when you move, it gets worse before it gets better, right? And that's the kind of state it's in, so, no, not as of yet. Hopefully, by the summer, we'll be getting someone in there, but I kind of want the PD totally out first, because there are some issues we're gonna have to address. There's only one small space that has any sort of access to the public right now, which is not really conducive to having multiple departments down there to kind of work with the public. Yeah, not as of.
All right, I was just asking. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public? All right, I will make a motion to go into non-public for review of correspondence from our attorney.
Is there anything else that we have to do there before we go to what we signing? That's all done.
Sorry, transfer.
Anything else in the folder?
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's just the official notice for the hearing on the water system
Thank you.
regulations.
Right, I will second your motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Jay.
Any